Welcome back. Hindi na sasabak ang Pilipinas sa men's basketball tournament ng Asian Games. Sorpresang inanunsyo ng Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas kagabi na nag-withdraw na sila sa Asian Games next month sa Indonesia, saying the organization needs time to regroup. Matatandaang napatawan ng matinding parusa ang national basketball team with 10 Gilas players and 2 coaches suspended for their roles in the basket brawl that happened in their FIBA World Cup qualifier against Australia. Isasalang sana ang PBA team na rain or shine sa Asian Games bilang kapalit ng Gilas, pero hindi naging available ang ilang players na hinihiling ni NLEX coach Yeng Giao, kasama na dyan ang NBA Phil-American star na si Jordan Clarkson. Nalungkot naman ang rain or shine player na si Ray Nambatak sa pagpo-pull out ng Pilipinas sa Asian Games basketball tournament.
Nalungkot din kasi ina-expect na ng management ng rain or shine and mga players na half of the team maglalaro sa Asian Games. Pero yun nga, yung nag-withdraw yung SPP kagabi, para sa akin nanghinayang ako kasi isang malaking achievement yun na makapaglaro ka para sa bansa mo, experience and exposure din yun. So, yun yung parang nasayang. Pero overall naman, wala naman kaming sama ng loob kasi nire-respeto namin yung decision ng SBP and alam naman namin din na may valid reason kung bakit sila nag-withdraw.
Let's speak now to basketball analyst and blogger, Sir Enzo Flojo. Sir Enzo, it's great to have you back on the score finally after such a long time.
Yeah, glad to be back, man.
But it's been a whirlwind of a night for the Philippine basketball world. Nayanig tayong lahat sa balitang lumabas right before we went to bed. Talk to me, Hoopnut, about what transpired in the past 24 hours.
Man, I was going to sleep last night already, Anton. When I opened Twitter and all of a sudden it was exploding with the news that now we all know now about SBP. All of a sudden pulling out from the Asian Games hours after announcing to everyone in a press conference that Yeng Giao was on board, Rain or Shine was on board, and they had a wish list of players, including Jordan Clarkson, like you said, who had a chance to play in the Asian Games. Now, definitely, the knee-jerk reaction for a lot of people, myself included, was shock and disappointment at the whole thing. And of course, one reason about it was, if you look at the initial statement of the SBP, it's quite vague about what the reason was. They wanted to focus on, fixing their appeal for the FIBA sanctions and preparing for the World Cup qualifier. But the Asian Games, if you think about it, Anton, it's a completely different animal from the FIBA, from any FIBA tournament. It's not handled by FIBA. The eligibility rules are different. Many players who otherwise would be ineligible in FIBA would actually be able to play in the Asian Games. So, a lot of people, a lot of fans especially, and justifiably so, felt really bad and disappointed that, this development took place, for the SBP and for Gilas.
Enzo, could you tell us a little bit about our history with the Asian Games? This is a tournament that happens every 4 years, right?
Yes.
Kadalasan ba, are we always one of the main contenders when it comes to the Asian Games?
For sure. If you look at the medal count in the Asian Games, I think we've won 6 golds already. We're the 3rd winningest country in terms of men's basketball in the Asian Games, behind China and South Korea. South Korea has actually the most medals in men's basketball. So we've always been a competitive bunch. We've only missed it once in 2006, and that was not by choice. That was because we were suspended by FIBA. This is the first time, if we do go through with this withdrawal, the first time we're going to miss the Asian Games because we choose to.
Wow.
And I think for a lot of fans, that that's a deeper level of disappointment and sadness for a lot of people, because even if we send a rain or shine core with 7 or 8 rain or shine players and maybe a sprinkling of cadets or players from other PBA teams, to be quite honest, I think we'd still be pretty competitive. Not the favorites by any shot at all, but competitive pa rin. And if you look at how we performed in the previous Asian Games in 2014, where we finished 7th place, lowest ever, I think we had a pretty good shot of matching that, or even leapfrogging that particular position if we sent any PBA-backed team to the Asian Games.
All right, let's say natuloy.
Yeah.
Rain or shine, and then Coach Yeng had an opportunity to fill up the roster with some players of his liking. Do you think that maybe we could have a little bit restored a little bit of respectability here in the Philippines in terms of basketball and with the other nations had we participated?
I think that it would have had a pretty good shot, or they would have had a pretty good shot of doing so. I think the message that was sent by pulling out of the Asian Games is quite negative, especially to the basketball fans in the Philippines and to the international basketball community, especially the ones in Asia. And, you know, if you talk to maybe people in the SBP, people who know Coach Yeng, and people who know the guys running the SBP, I'm sure they have their reasons for pulling out and for withdrawing. But again, one important thing to consider is what kind of message we're sending to everyone else around us. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's not a very good look for the SBP, for Gilas, and for Philippine basketball in general. Had we sent a team, even if we, failed to make the quarterfinals, as long as we stayed competitive, as long as the players and the team we sent would represent us well by showing, puso, by playing their hearts out and by giving everything, I think it would still be a pretty good look for us as a basketball country. But this withdrawing right now, it's understandably disappointing.
Is it possible that we take a U-turn and maybe decide to participate? Or is this final na mag-withdraw na, it's done, we won't be a part of the Asian Games?
As far as I know, it's still possible for the SBP to actually say, okay, wait, may time pa, pwede pa pala kami maglaro. I think it's still possible. We're not yet past the point of no return. We're being expected to actually join the Asian Games, and we're one of the teams there. And as far as I know, I think the SBP has already submitted a preliminary lineup already to the Asian Games. So all the paperwork has gone through to try and tell the Asian Games Committee, the Olympic Council of Asia, that we are participating. So in the next few days, or by tomorrow, if the SPP has a change of heart, pwede pa rin naman. And I think, so I read something kanina, Anton, na even the owners of Rain or Shine are still open. They're still just waiting for that word from the SBP na, hey, okay, fine, we're participating again.
Pero bakit kaya, Sir Enzo, na nangyari, inanunsyo na magiging half the team Rain or Shine, tapos biglang Coach Yeng Yao will come in, have a reunion with his former players with Rain or Shine. Bakit kaya nag-build up sila ng excitement and then all of a sudden decides to pull the plug? Why was that the turn of events? Bakit kaya ganon?
Well, building up excitement for the national team is understandable because, how shall we, for the lack of a better term, Anton, the Gilas brand, I guess, was hurt because of what happened, in their last qualifying game against Australia. So, playing well or representing the country well in the Asian Games was a good opportunity for the Gilas brand to regain, like what you said, a bit more respectability. But I'm just assuming that, the brain trust of the SBP, knowing they wouldn't have maybe the top tier players of the Philippines representing the country, they felt like, okay, the chances of winning would not be too high. Would we do justice to the Filipino fans by sending a team that is not, comprised of the very best of the PBA? Those are probably the factors they were considering when they made this decision. Do I agree, or do people agree with that, that train of thought? Not necessarily, and maybe that's why a lot of people are disappointed. But regardless of that, for me, what I'm hoping is, this is definitely a step back, I think, for us. But what I'm hoping is step back, but maybe in the future, this will be a wake-up call, and eventually it'll be a couple of steps forward for Philippine basketball.
All right. What should be the next step now for Gilas Pilipinas? What should they do to get over this hump, get over this scenario of players having to deal with this suspension, coaches also having to deal with it? What should be the next step?
Well, ideally, all the stakeholders of Philippine basketball will be able to come together and unite to make sure that our next games in the next FIBA qualifiers will be good. Kung tuloy nga na we won't play in the Asian Games, the next big games for Gilas will be in September in the next window of the FIBA qualifiers. And I think we're going to face Qatar and Iran. Iran on the road and then Qatar at home in a closed-door game. But if we're able to play well in those games, I think, we'll be able to regain some respectability and, in a way, repair the image of Philippine basketball internationally. But to do that, we got to get, again, everyone on board. And I think, I'm guessing that's what the SBP is going to focus on right now. Part of me also thinks, Anton, that the SPP, they feel like they have too much on their plate right now. They want to appeal the FIBA sanctions. They want to make sure they're going to put forth a good team for the next qualifiers. So I'm thinking they want to tackle all those concerns one at a time. And I guess having the Asian Games, in addition to those things, maybe was just too much for the SBP.
What about the suspensions of the players? When does this start, and when do we start counting as to how many? Like, for example, Calvin Abueva, he's suspended for 6 games.
Yes.
Kailan magsisimula yung bilangan ng 6 na laro, and then the time that he can play again?
That starts, in the next window already, Anton. So every window has 2 games. So Calvin Abueva, in effect, is out for the next 3 windows. And how many windows are left before the World Cup? Exactly 3. So we won't see Calvin Abueva in the next 3 windows. The soonest we'll see him play is if we qualify for the World Cup in China in 2019. For other guys like Japeth Aguilar and Matthew Wright, they're suspended for 1 game each. We could see them back in action as soon as September. They're going to miss the road game against Iran, but they could play already, if we choose to, in our closed-door home game against Qatar. For the other players who are suspended, I think 3 games, may 5 games pa, we start counting in the next qualifying game in September already.
All right. Well, a lot of hurdles for Gilas Pilipinas, but
Yes, that's the understatement, yeah.
As diehard Filipino basketball fans, we all hope and pray that we get back to a level wherein we can be once again proud and supportive of our Gilas Pilipinas players and coaches as well.
True that, Anton, true that.
Thank you very much, Enzo, and I'll see you again soon.
Yes, thanks, Anton.
Hey everybody, this is Anton Rojas. For more sports updates, keep watching The Score and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's ABS-CBN Sports and Action.